So I have about 3:37. We're going to call today's April 28th, 2020 Ways and Means Committee to order. Carrie Ann, roll call, please.
Nagnestakis,
Present.
Benelli,
Here.
Sutherland,
Here.
Hines,
Here.
Kulisek,
Here.
Paduk,
Here.
Menuda.
All right. Here. Would everyone also now please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Carrie Ann, can you also announce the legislators that signed up or that appear to be online with us?
Yes. We have Chairman Brescia. We have Tom Fagione, Michael Amo, Barry Cheney, legislator Kevin Darian Lujan, Kathy Stiganga, John Vero. Did I miss anybody?
Sounds like not.
Okay, great.
Okay, so going first today for a change is Eric Rusher, Director of Real Property Tax Services. First up is the deed sale parcels. Can I get a motion in a second for discussion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Who was the second?
Well, either Benelli or Sutherland.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so as everyone should have in front of them, there was 4 parcels. 3 are no recommendations by the commissioner, so I really don't think we need to discuss those. Obviously, we want as much money as we can. So the only one left is number 2 in Montgomery. Eric?
Yes, good afternoon. I hope everybody and your loved ones and families are doing okay. This is Montgomery 308-5-8, 26 McKinley Avenue. We actually had this property a couple months ago, and we're kind of scratching our heads on it because it has water and sewer and appears to meet the zoning, but for some reason we're not getting any action on it. So we actually had a bidder who had been lower come up with to meet the minimum bid of $4,000. We're still shy of the back taxes, but problem we do see with village parcels sometimes is occasionally we'll get violations from the building department for grass mowing and things like that get added on the taxes. So in my opinion, I think we should take the $4,000 on this property.
Okay, thank you, sir. Now, also, everyone should have received an email from Gene today with a picture of the map. I didn't recognize it until I got the picture from Eric. Did everybody get their picture today?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Is there any questions from committee members?
I have a question. Kulisek.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
In an established neighborhood with a full-size lot for building with water and sewer, how can there not be any interest in something like this? I mean, this is...
Sir, I have no idea. We've actually sent adjoining property owners out to people, and it's like that's what I said. We're kind of scratching our heads, wondering. I don't know if somebody might be getting a title search done and find something out we don't know about, but I don't have a good answer for you, to be perfectly honest.
Okay, I was happy last meeting we set it aside for reconsideration, but now, if there's no activity, are we advertising this other places other than like the county website or the sale or tax sale?
On the county website, the leftover list is published. It's basically updated constantly as the properties get paid for and removed, and we update all the due dates for our office so that we have them in time to get them ready for your meeting. So it's basically been on since 2018. It hasn't been on a long time, but as I said, we've sent adjoining property owner letters out, and it's kind of a mystery to be honest.
It doesn't go to any local realtor in the Montgomery area or anything like that, or to Orange County realtors, or?
Well, basically, anyone can access, and people are pretty savvy with this as far as realtors, and they've actually even bid on some of these leftover properties for customers who weren't comfortable to do them themselves. So it's on the county website, and it's for everyone to see.
So we don't do any external advertisement or publications like that? No? Okay. I think maybe we should start. I don't know. Okay, that's all, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kulisek. Was there another question?
No, that's all.
Lee, I've got a question, Lee.
Go ahead, Mike A.
All right, thank you. I don't have it in front of me. Who's the purchaser on the property?
The purchaser is Baileys Enterprise LLC with a P.O. box out of Newburgh.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Lee,
Eric.
I have a question, Kevin Hines.
Kevin, go ahead.
Yeah, Eric, in your professional opinion, what's the value of that land as it sits today?
I would, a building lot in Walden. I mean, like I said, it's real surprising. You got to figure it's got to be like a small lot, 50 by 100. 30,000-40,000 maybe or something, you would think normally, for somebody to build a house and maybe flip it and try to make some money on it, but I just, like I said, I really don't know why, but I will take your recommendation. We can, whatever you think, but, as I said, the taxes had added up from the minimum bid when it first went to auction, partly probably because of some lawn mowing and, I don't believe there's sidewalks there. So, mainly probably lawn mowing fees.
Yeah, there's going to be a
So they're
sidewalk
offering
there.
10% of the value? Is that what you're telling me?
No, we base, basically the minimums pretty much are starting close to the back taxes at the time of the auction. And then they go up from there. I mean, if we're not selling them, it kind of like, you kind of say, okay, if we're not selling them at the price they're at, and, if we raise the price, maybe that's backwards marketing, but I don't know, it could work sometimes, but that's why, some of these things, we end up, hopefully it's a, give and take here and there, and we make some money on some, but, some of them, that's why, we're in the red a little bit on them.
Yeah, I think you should hold out for more money. I'm going to vote no, Lee, when it comes up. That's all I have.
Okay. Hey, Eric?
Yes.
Obviously, even in the village, you have to have some sort of minimal side yards and setbacks and such. Is it possibly that on a 50 by 100 lot, you could not build a large enough house to be marketable, kind of this, with what, current public trends are for what people want to buy?
Well, what I did last time was I had researched the, last time when this property came up, I did research the zoning for the, on the planning portion of our website, which has all the municipal resources and all the zonings for every town and village. And it does appear to meet the, size and setback whatnot requirements. If you want to table this one, what I can do, or just, vote no, it's up to you. But I mean, what I'll try to do is make another call maybe to the building inspector, which I haven't done. And maybe there's some other, there's something missing here that we haven't come up. So I have no problem tabling it or whatever you decide. And, we could always adjust the minimum bid too, so it's your call.
Okay, I mean, for getting an amount that isn't even equal to the back taxes, I'm okay with holding out and tabling this and bringing this back at a later date. What's the rest of the committee think before we go to roll call?
Mr. Chairman, it's Katie.
Go ahead, Katie.
I would recommend that we do table it. The minimum bid was $4,000, so we did meet the minimum bid. So if we wanted to see more, I think we should change the minimum bid and then move forward.
I can agree to that.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir. Go ahead,
Mike
Mike
A.
A.
here. For whatever it's worth, that property is probably, I don't know, 100 feet away, maybe 150 feet away from the Wallkill River. It probably can see the river from the property. So whatever that's worth.
That's correct.
Okay. So is it the opinion of the committee that I should just withdraw this?
Jim Kulisek votes yes.
Yeah, Kevin Hines for withdrawing.
Mike A?
Yeah, go ahead.
Janet?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, then I'm just gonna unilaterally withdraw this. It will be referred back, when Eric gets, more money. Okay.
Understood. Okay.
A comment? If you
Sure.
can see the
Go ahead, Jimmy.
you can see the Wallkill River. It's got a river view, so it even should be more.
That was my point, Jimmy.
Depending on how close it is to the dam, they may not like the roar.
Well, actually, also sometimes, being that everybody's closed in, I like to take my wife for a ride on the weekend. So we'll go out and personally take a picture of the property and see what it looks like. Also, I know we did in the past, but I'll just get re-familiar with it and then do some more research on my end also.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Chairman, I know I'm not on the committee, but can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Yes. Is it possible, because this is in an area that's going to be very up and coming, especially with that winery opening up over there and it's right around the corner? Is this something that can go either on the AAR auctions that we use for the county or even sent over to a real estate agent? Because it would be so minimal as far as the cost to sell it through an actual real estate company?
Well, the auction company would be the way to go, and we actually have no problem with that. And the local law is very specific as far as parcels that go to auction for the first time, that we cannot take less than the back taxes on them. But on these leftover properties, we have some ability to get creative. And I have something in my update to talk about the auction too, but we usually pick out some of these leftover properties anyways and include them in the auction. So that's not a problem at all, and I would go that route. I mean, I'm a realtor myself, and we could list them, but it'd probably be better off putting them out on the auction site first.
Okay.
That's
Any
good.
other questions from other members listening?
Yeah, Vero has a quick question.
Sure. Go ahead,
He's
John.
meeting the minimum bid. Do we have any obligation to honor that bid? And if it is in fact that close to the Wallkill River, is it considered a flood zone?
I don't believe it is, but and I think we can pretty much do have the ability to, I don't think just because they met the minimum, we have the right to even at the auctions not receive any bid for whatever reason, you know what I mean? So I don't think, I could, we could ask for a legal opinion on that, but I don't believe there's a problem if we decided to revise the minimum. And somebody might complain a little bit, but I believe they would get over it. I don't think they really would. Maybe I'm speaking out of turn. Maybe we should, let Matt do some research on that or something if he's willing, and see what he thinks.
Yeah,
I think the legislature has the discretion to say no if you, in your judgment, think we'd be better off asking for more money. I don't know of any obligation to accept the minimum bid. The legislature has considerable discretion in this. If you don't think it's appropriate to accept this person's offer, then say no.
Right.
I would agree with Matt on that. Any other questions from other legislators? Okay, hearing none, we're going to go on to department update. Again, I had sent out a semi-report for my discussions with department heads over the last 6 weeks. And Eric also provided some information for everyone to read that was emailed. Anything else to add, Eric?
Yeah, I'd like to just go over some things if I could.
Sure.
You've all seen the spreadsheet with the reservoir houses, and most of the houses are either in contract or the contracts are out for signing. On the spreadsheet, about halfway down the list, there's a property 569 County Route 17 in Crawford that needs a good deal of work, and we might be looking for a cash deal on that one. Towards the bottom of the list, there's a property 250 Murray Road. Hopefully we've been listing that. I had put in the fall, but I think we're aiming early summer. This is a county employee who's our tenant, who is in the process of building a house, and it's well underway. Also on the bottom of the list, 175 Burt Corners Road. We are evicting the tenants, and we did go to court a couple of months ago and came up with an agreement where the tenants were supposed to move out June 1st, but now this, of course, could be delayed, but we could still list the property. Under NYSAR guidelines, currently only virtual showings are allowed. Home inspections and appraisals are considered essential and can be completed. The closings for these properties will most likely be handled by mail, and I'm experiencing some typical hiccups as common in residential real estate, but the revenue projected exceeds what was budgeted for 2020. Now, real property staff, I just want to let everyone know, has been doing a great job. Some of our state-mandated duties this time of year include making sure all deeds and subdivision maps that were transferred and recorded prior to March 1st are processed to reflect all new owners and parcels, which currently number over 142,000 in the county. So the new tax maps and assessment rolls can be printed for the May 1st deadline. Assessors also depend on the deed and parcel updating for exemption purposes. I also provided an attachment, the Governor's Executive Order 202.22, that allows for the town's buy local option to extend the May 1st tentative assessment roll deadline to June 1st. At this point, I know of only one town that plans on utilizing this extension, and as we speak, assessors are calling in their rolls for printing, and when we make arrangements to bring them out of the building so they can pick them up. One of my other duties as county director is to annually train Board of Assessment Review members, new as well as those that need recertification. This year we have about 7 new members and 13 that need recertification training. Reference materials, since we're not going to be doing, in a meeting due to social distancing, reference materials have been mailed out, video links and a PowerPoint presentation will be emailed to them by the end of this week in order for their training to be completed. And the state did determine that for recertification, if an issue arises, that member's training can be waived until May 2021. And we have been receiving some feedback from title companies, attorneys, and public relating to subdivision map and condo filing. And while any new maps changes won't be reflected on the rolls until next year, subdivision maps are to be filed with the county clerk within 62 days of planning board approval. So real property, the county clerk and finance came up with a procedure to accept subdivision maps, which went into effect yesterday. While most of the process will be done electronically or by mail, with the security's permission, I also left a drop box for milers downstairs, which is also mentioned in the process. Our online deed sale for April 30th was postponed in accordance with an administrative order from the 9th Judicial District, which includes Orange, Dutchess, Putnam, Rockland, and Westchester counties. Once the order is lifted, and if we are still practicing social distancing, we can revisit the online deed process. And I'd just like to give you some updates from prior to us canceling our online auction that was scheduled for April 30th. From the auction company, they got back to me with 41 bid packs were completed between 3/6 and 3/18. Additional 199 packets were opened between 3/5 and 3/23. They took the auction down off the site at 4/16, and they had 124,564 hits on it. There have been dozens of people asking about the auction throughout, and so they were actually even surprised that the people attracted to our online auction. I mean, Orange County is hot and the place to be, no doubt. So if it is the case, and we still are practicing social distancing, I think it's a good move. So. From our GIS department, Dan Munoz, the GIS manager, he's been doing GIS requests, new mapping updates, GIS data maintenance, working on the update, GIS system update, Board of Election maps and website maintenance, EF&S data and website maintenance, help support the GIS users. He attends virtual meetings, hosts GIS user meetings and map support for ESC and 911, and creation and daily maintenance of the COVID-19 dashboards, desktop and mobile versions. And besides that, things that are, once things open up, we have other items we're hoping to address. We're still on the radar is Port Jervis DMV. We're looking at a couple of 2 to 3 site options, as well as looking at the building that some of our offices are already on in Pike Street. And regarding Grand Street, basically the RFP, the meat and potatoes of it, with Bill from Economic Development helping out, that's pretty much good to go, and it basically has to be put into the general services format for RFPs. I have also have an appraiser lined up, and the requisition approved for once things open up, so he can proceed on the appraisal of the quarry property, which he requested, and hope to get that done shortly, so a decision can be made on how we're working out with that property. And then Camp LaGuardia hopefully will follow after that, and that's pretty much the order I imagine those things going in. So, and that's about it for real property right now.
Okay, thank you, Eric. Are there any questions from committee members for Eric?
Lee, I have one, Mike Paduch.
Go ahead, Mike.
Lee, I'm sorry, Eric, I think at maybe the last meeting when we were all there, I think I asked in regard to that book for the auction. You said we would all be receiving one. Now, I don't know how it stands right now, but is there a book with all the auction properties in it, and will we be all of us be receiving one?
You definitely will be receiving them. What happened was when the auction was canceled, also what was canceled was foreclosure with the administrative order and whatnot. So right now, actually, the people, there is no deadline per se for the people that were delinquent for the auction that we were going to have. They can still pay their property taxes, so those properties can still come off the auction. So the books pretty much had to be scratched. And, once things open up, as far as the administrative order is lifted, and, then perhaps a deadline for private sale payments can be made so that we know exactly when our deadline is. In addition to that, I had, Town of Monroe and the Town of Mount Hope also looking at 2 of the properties on that, they're hoping to take off the auction list, but we can't really do anything on them because, as I said, the people still have time to pay. So there really is no books I can provide, but, once we get the go, I promise I'll get them to everyone.
Thank you, Eric.
Yep.
Any other questions from committee members? Other legislators listening? Okay, hearing none. Thank you very much for everything, Eric.
No problem. Have a good day, everyone. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye now. Next up is Deborah Slasinski, Budget Director. Debbie, you there?
I'm here. Good afternoon. I hope you're all doing well.
I think we are. So far, the video conference is going well. So letter A is a request supplemental appropriation to move $2.5 million from contingency for use in the COVID-19 response. This is legislative request number 86. Can I get a motion in a second, please?
Jim Kulisek motion.
Okay.
Second, Hines.
Hines. Thank you. Pretty self-explanatory, Debbie, but you're up.
Okay, so we are requesting a supplemental appropriation of the $2.5 million from contingency for use in our COVID-19 response. The balance in the contingency account is $2.69 million. That was the original adopted amount. As of April 15th, we had spent $2.9 million on our response to the COVID pandemic. And I just want to make a note that on the spreadsheet that was attached to the legislative request, there was one expense that was duplicated in error on there. So that's how I'm coming up with the $2.9 million.
Okay. Questions from committee members?
Lee, Mike Paduch.
Jim Cook.
Go ahead, Mike.
The contingency fund had $2.9 million in it. you said, and we've used 2.9 already?
No, the contingency balance was 2.69 million. And we're
Oh,
gonna we're requesting to take 2.5 million out of that.
Okay, so we're gonna leave with $19 million or $19,000 balance, right?
No.
In case?
190.
190.
I'm sorry, you're right,
And change.
okay. Yeah, is that, I mean, I understand the whole reasons here, but it's cutting it pretty close for other issues that may come up, right?
Well, we base that on the amount of expenses that we have had to date. And there are still ways to go in this situation, and we do need to, resupply the items that we've given out.
No,
Jim
I
Coolison?
understand fully. I'm just
Yeah.
wondering, what happens when we're out of contingency?
We would evaluate that. We would look for money
Searching for that.
in other
I'm gone.
budgets. Like,
You there? Can you hear me?
yeah, can you hear? Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
What
I
we would
lost
do,
it for a second. Said my, I'm just, so, did you answer me, Deb? I'm sorry. In regards
She
to-
started to, but I
we
think
just
she
can
broke up.
appropriate more from the fund balance as we need to?
so what we would do, we've identified some funds that we
I
have
said,
been
can we
using.
appropriate more money from the fund balance to contingency if we need to for this emergency? I mean, that's, contingency is what emergency's for, right? I mean, emergency's for contingency.
Right, and once we would exhaust our contingency, once we would evaluate our needs, and we could take money from our fund balance, yes.
Okay. Well, that's the only avenue that we have to get it from, right?
Correct. We would look,
Okay.
at, to see where else we would have any money in our departments, but that's dwindling quickly.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Jimmy K?
Yes, with the federal emergency declaration, I think that we're going to be receiving some money, or that's why we're keeping such good track of all our expenses. Does that sound right, Debbie?
Well, we are keeping very good track of our expenses, and we will be submitting for any reimbursement that we can, but at the same time, we don't know how long it would take to get that money if it comes.
No, but we do expect to recoup some of the funds that we're putting out now, right?
We hope to.
Well, I think that's part, and it's written right in the the federal emergency declaration. That's why the declaration was made, and then people start using their money that they know they're going to be reimbursed somewhat. So.
Correct.
Okay.
I would agree, though, it's still hopeful from state and county levels, possibly. Any other questions for Debbie on letter A? Other legislators listening, any questions?
Yeah, Lee, this is Barry.
Hey, Barry.
Deb, there were a number of items in there for Valley View. Didn't seem to be as much money as I would have expected. It came out to about $87,000. And I guess a two-part question. I mean, are we expecting that there's going to be considerably more from Valley View, considering the type of operation that they have and the needs that they would have? And then my second question is, was consideration given to paying that out of the fund balance that exists for Valley View?
So Valley View's costs have come out of their own fund, out of their own operating budget. And as far as do we expect more, from what I'm hearing, they seem to be doing rather well at the time, for the time being. So we would just continue to evaluate the situation as it evolves.
So the funds that are listed, the 87, there are a number of Valley View items on your list that make up the 2.9 million.
Yes.
So they're going to be paid for out of Valley View's budget or fund balance as opposed to out of the contingency.
That is where we have paid for them currently. Yes. We would submit, if it is related to the COVID response, we would include that on any reimbursement.
So this is kind of the COVID response list, as much as it's the list against which we've decided to take 2.5 million out of the contingency.
Well, the 2.5 would be probably for future expenses.
As opposed to paying for the 2.9 that we've spent already?
Correct. Some of it will go to paying for the 2.9 because some of it was put on credit cards to make a quick purchase. But some of it will be for future expenses, for masks and PPE and whatever may be needed if there's a second wave.
And then a second question, there seems to be a lot of computer hardware there, and my understanding from just a little bit of knowledge about what's going on, that a lot of those computers were laptops and they were purchased so that people could work from home. What's the disposition of that hardware when everybody's back at their desks, and is there opportunity then to reduce IT's budget since they wouldn't need to be purchasing replacements, that they could use these laptops, these extra laptops that they now have or will have eventually?
I don't know what the disposition of it would be once everyone gets back to work. I think we would have to get that from the IT department.
Well, I just from a
Mr.
from
Chairman?
a budgeting standpoint, that may be somewhere that money could be taken out of IT's budget because things have been purchased that they would not now have to purchase.
So where we have charged that in the interim to get the materials in, we did charge that to the capital project, and that's how it's been paid for currently.
Okay.
And Mr. Cheney, Alicia, I believe, is listening. Alicia, can you help a little?
Yeah, and we're going to go through that. I mean, you'll see it'll probably roll up after Deb's conversation of budget, and then DGS will talk more to the point of PPE, the ordering, how we're watching it, the balance of procuring versus spending and the expenses. And then IT, Rich, will give you a little bit of a guideline of what we're looking forward to as we go forward a little later on, as it's our turn, unless you want me to bring Rich on right now to explain what we plan on doing with the IT and the work from home laptops.
Mr. Cheney, okay to wait until their department?
Yeah, I'm going to be here.
Okay, great.
I'm done.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from other legislators? Hearing none, Carrie Ann, roll call, please.
Anagnestakis,
Yes.
Benelli,
Yes.
Sutherland,
Yes.
Stein,
Yes.
Kulisek,
Yes.
Padu,
Yes.
Nuda absent, Benton.
Yes.
Motion
Motion
carried.
carried unanimously. Thank you, everyone, for that. Debbie, anything else to report under department update?
Sure. We've been working remotely for just about 6 weeks now, and it's really been all hands on deck. The budget staff has done a tremendous job. We've been tracking all spending requests, COVID or not, tracking and approving contracts and requisitions remotely, and working on projections. Monday through Thursday, we usually have one person who comes into the office. And I regularly meet with the Deputy County Executive to go over purchasing requests. We're also actively working on ways to always trim the budget. We all know that we can expect a reduction in our sales tax as well as many other revenues. I've prepared 2 sales tax projections. We have not seen an impact yet on our sales tax figures. The first 3 months have actually exceeded the budget, so a projection has been difficult. NISAC did prepare what they call a severe scenario, which had an 11.6% impact. Since the duration of the response has been a little bit longer than I believe was originally expected, and Woodbury Commons and all of our retail has been closed for probably at least 2 months, I prepared a second scenario with more severe cuts. Based on these 2 models, we could have a deficit anywhere from 20.5 to 30.7 million in county sheriff's sales tax. And again, this is based on not receiving any updated data with the effects of it. These models include reductions to the AIM payments and the new distressed hospital fund that we will be I've also reviewed all of the revenue sources in the undistributed account and prepared a projection based on sales tax being in the middle of those two numbers that I just gave you. I used an Oxford study model to project hotel tax and have assumed no money for casino revenue since we've had nothing to date, and I question if they will reopen. I have also included the budgeted revenue for one auction in 2020. Based on the above and the use of $20 million in fund balance to balance the 2020 budget, we could have a shortfall of $50.2 million, and it could be higher than that. This does not include the cost of the COVID response, which I have an updated figure. As of Friday, it was over $3.5 million. It does not include any shortfall in state revenue or fees, or the impact that will be felt on our social service programs, along with a myriad of other potential impacts. Department heads have been asked to submit a 15% reduction plan for their budget, and we will be reviewing them along with our own projections this week. I have heard from many managers that this is difficult to achieve and would require a reduction in staffing. I will continue to monitor and update you on the revenues. We are currently approaching one of our busiest times with the creation of the 2021 budget. That's an ambitious task at any time, however, more daunting with the uncertainty that we are facing. We've also asked departments to prepare proposed capital plans to be reviewed in June. And lastly, we are due to submit a forecast to the legislature on May 10th, and we will do so with the best data that we have.
Okay. Thank you very much. Questions for Debbie from the committee members?
Lee, I have one, Mike Perdue.
Go ahead, Mike.
Hey, Deb, your office always does a great job. Just let me compliment you on that.
Thank you.
But I did want to ask one thing in regards to, and I think Lee had already asked you this. Our internet revenues, sales tax, they must be going up, I would think.
I don't see the actual reports that come in. Maybe Karen can comment on that a little bit further. I kind of just see the total amounts that come in.
Okay, but I'm just wondering if that may help us somewhat, in regards to.
We're hopeful. Like I said, we're hopeful. There's usually just a lag, though, with the revenues as they come in. So, like I said, we really haven't seen the effect yet.
Okay,
Yeah,
and
Mike?
I actually, I asked the chairman, Mr. Benton, if we could have that in the budget on its own separate line, which would be sales tax from internet sales. And I don't know if he discussed that with you or if that's a possibility when we start looking at next year's budget and stuff like that.
I don't know that that's a possibility, to be quite honest with you, but I will check with Karen Hablo and we'll see. I'll get her input on that.
Hey, Mike?
Would you like me to comment on that?
Well, I just wanted to make a comment first, and then you can take over, Karen.
Sure.
The most accurate information that Karen has is from 218, I believe, supplied by NISAC or the state, actually, I'm sorry. And that's when it's itemized out as a general report, but that's long-term historical data. So I'm not sure that we're going to have anything like that anytime quickly. Karen, go ahead.
Sure, thank you. I appreciate that. And Deb basically had it right. I would just add that when we do get the sales tax, it is an aggregate amount and we receive it every 2 weeks from New York State. And as Deb did mention, it is a lag. So therefore, what we just received in April, some of those sales date all the way back to December 1st, believe it or not. And they go through the collection period of March 22nd. So all the different vendors are on different schedules, whether they're EFT or non-EFT, and whether they file quarterly or monthly. So you do see a lag. We have not really experienced any uptick in internet or online sales tax that you can see right now. Although, like Deb said, we're not really seeing real time the sales tax revenues. So I think once you get into, in my estimation, once you get into early June, you'll really see the effect of the COVID period. That being said, when we do request the detailed sales tax information, it is confidential and we are not permitted to differentiate different vendors, nor are we really able to determine who is, what sales are attributable to online only sales or brick and mortar sales. So although some of them are obvious from the report and I can see them, I can certainly attest to the fact that we've been receiving online sales tax and it has benefited the county significantly since last September. But that being said, there's really no accurate way to budget it or to differentiate it on a budget report.
Okay, thank you for that. I find that a little odd that we can't differentiate from which is internet sales and which is regular. I mean, you said you can notice it, but what's the reason for that? That really doesn't make sense to me. Why we don't know what sales tax is coming in? You said we get a report every 2 weeks, right? From
It's not itemized, Mike.
It's not. It's an aggregate number every 2 weeks.
I got it. Yeah. Okay, but I mean, and that's a state law that we're not allowed to see which portion is from internet sales, or it's just too hard to.
So when we get the detail, it's on a by vendor basis, and it's a spreadsheet that takes about 7 to 10 business days for the state to generate, and it's 95,000 lines on an Excel spreadsheet. So you see every single vendor that has sales or doing business in Orange County. Therefore, you could, and it's their legal business entity name. So therefore, you could have gone through Amazon and bought something somewhere from, ABC vendor, but I would not have any idea whether ABC vendor, is actually a brick and mortar in New Windsor, or if it's an online, online only sale. That's the way.
Is there any way we can change that, or we can make a recommendation to the state to give us better information in regards to that, or is it because of privacy stuff? I'm not sure.
I think it's a combination of both.
Yeah, Mike, you got to remember, it takes time to accumulate, with people under different payment schedules. Some pay every week, some pay every month, some pay every quarter, so the constant flow into Albany with the money, then they disperse it to us. So, I mean, it's a process, and obviously you have to reconcile things by year for obviously the reports that Karen sent to everybody. And you can see it takes time to collate.
Right. Okay, I understand. I just wondered if there was a reasonable law as to why we couldn't. I know it's too hard to decipher. That's what it sounds like.
And it's also, there's not enough historical information to be able to come up with a valid budget. Nobody really knows how much we're going to get until you develop a pattern or a history. So we've only been getting
thank you for that. It'd be nice to know how much we're making if it's more from internet. Right. Okay.
Well, whatever we're making, you also have to reduce 1.3 million that's being diverted from that to make up the gap in the AIM funding for the municipalities.
All set, Mike?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions from committee members?
Just comment, Jim Kulisek.
Sure. Go ahead, Jimmy.
And the numbers that we will be receiving for recent sales, internet sales, those numbers are going to be askew because of heavy internet traffic during this COVID-19 term and no brick and mortar sales, correct? So I don't think they'll offset and come out evenly, brick and mortar to internet sales, but there will be definitely more internet sales than there will be brick and mortar, I think, this recent past.
Hopefully. I mean, I would expect so also, but, I don't think, obviously, internet sales can make up for everything.
No, don't know anyway.
Any other questions from committee members? Other legislators listening? All right. Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you. Take care.
Tell the department to stay safe.
Thank you, too.
Okay, Karen, thank you for jumping in there. I appreciate it. We'll go on to your report. Again, I did send a report over what we had discussed in the last month and a half or so and sent to everybody. There was one thing that I have that I think I possibly got wrong. I thought you had mentioned that the recent sales tax, not the most recent, which was up by close to 10% or so, but the previous disbursements were, I thought you said they were down by about 3%. They actually were up?
Oh, no, they were up.
They were up. Okay, so I have to apologize for that correction, but
we had one payment in particular that was down, one payment, but it was 1 out of the 2 for the month. Therefore, when you aggregate them for the month, it was a net positive.
Okay, thank you for that correction, everyone.
Mhm.
So noted. Okay, so Karen,
Okay.
anything else to add?
Yes, actually, thank you. Good afternoon. I just wanted to thank you for the opportunity to give you an update on the finance department, because this is our busiest time of year, and the staff is working tirelessly trying to keep everything going. We're currently 100% operational and functional. We have a lot of people working remotely. And then we do have people coming into the office on a rotational schedule as needed. The largest change we've experienced is not having not been interacting with the public, and we have workarounds in effect to be able to continue to accept delinquent taxes. I'll just go division by division and give you a really quick overview of what's going on with us. So in payroll, obviously we have continued processing of the biweekly payroll. We have the supervisor on site daily. The remainder of the staff is rotating in and out to maintain social distancing and yet get all the payroll processed in a timely manner. We've also taken the opportunity to convert an additional 154 employees over to direct deposit during this time, which has been really helpful. We were hoping eventually to convert everybody over to direct deposit, but it's obviously not something we can mandate, although we feel it's beneficial in times like these. We're now down to about 225 live checks per payroll period out of probably 22 to 2,400 that go out. So that's a good thing. In our tax department, Eric talked already about the fact that the auction we were supposed to have was postponed. Just to give you an idea, we are down to 124 parcels. I believe at one point we started around 170. So that's a good thing that people have been able to still redeem those properties. I'm not sure when we'll be able to have that auction, but I do have a confidence level that we will be able to get that in at some point this year. So I think it is still prudent to budget for some revenue from at least one tax auction this year. We are still collecting and processing delinquent tax payments. We're receiving them either by mail or we have set up a drop box in the lobby, and which we're checking on a weekly basis. We're not accepting cash in the lobby drop box in case anybody is concerned about that. And we're still answering and attending to our taxpayers. We're answering the phone lines remotely via county cell phones. And then we had April was our month to settle with the town collectors. So in aggregate, though, the county is still owed approximately $14 million from the towns. There was some difficulty and miscommunication since they usually come on site to settle with us. We're sending out letters to the ones that have not settled in full. So therefore instructing them to just mail checks in or drop them off at the drop box down in the lobby. To give you an idea of the economy that we were in up until about 2 weeks ago, we were in a really good environment and set up to have a really stellar year. We had received more than 90% of county property taxes were collected. This was consistent with other counties and with prior years. So we have 6,950 total properties that were returned as delinquent for county and town taxes this year. This it's an increase of 463 properties over last year, although we have 429 parcels that are vacant land in the town of Chester, known as the Greens at Chester. So if you were to remove or ignore that big subset of properties, there's really not any material impact that we've experienced so far from COVID-19 as far as tax delinquencies. I think you'll see that more so next year than this year. Hopefully not, but I expect you will. We just this week received 680 total properties were returned as delinquent for the Newburgh City School District. This is actually down from 2019, so that was good news as well. One of the major things that we're working on this week, we're working to respond to a change in the STAR program, and we're working in conjunction with Eric in Real Property on this. I'm not sure if everybody is aware, but in the 2020-2021 state budget, when it was enacted, there was a change put through to the STAR program, which is going to make parcels that have delinquencies greater than 1 year no longer eligible for the basic STAR credit or rebate until they become current with their taxes. So counties are now required, as of this week, to produce a listing quarterly to send to the state. And that listing is going to include all the parcels that are delinquent by a year or more. And those parcels will not get their STAR rebate until the following year after they become current. So some of these people are really going to feel the hit this year and next year until they become current, because even if they pay right away, they still have a 1-year wait until they can get back onto the STAR program. So that was kind of surprising legislation that went through this year, given the current environment. And it was really kind of put through quietly at the last minute. All of us county fiscal managers were just notified within the last week of that. So going on to our accounting department, we're actually, like I said, we're in the busiest time of year. We're working on the 2019 annual audit. All personnel in the area is working remotely and coming in when they need to. And so far, the audit is progressing very well as expected. We anticipate meeting our normal deadlines for the audit and all the reporting we need to do with it. Capital project expenses year to date for 2020 through earlier this week, April 26th, total 5.2 million as compared to 6.9 million last year at the same time, just to give you kind of a point of reference as to how much we're spending for capital projects. And I have spoken with some of the department heads who have sizable projects, and we are going through looking at those projects that are already kind of been approved and in the works for this year to determine which ones are absolutely critical and if some could be put off to the future as long as there's no safety or other concerns.
Karen, if I could say one thing also, in my discussions with Mr. Poor from the county exec's office, he said he was reviewing everything.
Yes, he is. As far as accounts payable area, year to date 2020, accounts payable has processed 18,819 invoices, totaling $185.5 million in payments processed already. Now that compares to about 18,000 invoices paid in 2019, this is for the same time period, representing $205.3 million. So we have more invoices and less dollars going out the door this year. So one notable difference between last year and this year, in the last year, we've implemented ACH as an option for payments for vendors, and that's really saved us substantial costs, and it has resulted in timelier payments to our vendors. So for this year, we have cut to vendor payments, we've cut 6,168 checks, and we've made 937 ACH payments as compared to all checks cut last year for payments. So that's something that we've worked hard to achieve, and it will save money for the county down the road. And our payment processing time right now is currently, for the finance department, within 5 days of receipt of invoices, we are cutting a check or making an ACH payment. So, and again, the supervisor in that area is in the office basically daily. So support staff is working remotely and obviously efficiently in keeping us pretty timely in our payments. As for our auditing area, as of last week, our auditing staff has returned to 2 full-time people, up from 1. We had 1 out on an extended leave, and that person has returned now. So the auditors are working to support the 2019 audit, and they're continuing their daily fiscal work for grants. They're also continuing to draft reports from hotel audits that we started about a month before the COVID-19 crisis hit. So we're going to try to continue pursuing those audits, although obviously we're not going to be on site at any of the hotels, but we will do as much as we can remotely to try to recover any funds that we deem needed to be recovered as a result of those audit findings. Accounts receivable, that's the area where we talk about our inflows, including sales tax. So for the current year, the gross dollar amount of sales tax that we budgeted was just over $300 million. 221 million of that represents the county share, and 79 million is the municipal share. For the first quarter of this year, we paid out $71.9 million to the municipalities. That compares to 67.9 million paid out in 2019 first quarter to the municipalities. So the county portion of sales tax as well as municipal, was up about 6% from the same period last year. And we were running about 6% and still are technically 6% above budget for 2020. So we were on course to have a really stellar year as it stood. So all that will change now. Administration, we're continuing to collect and interface with hotels for occupancy tax remittances. Revenues for Q1 are already down. As compared to last year, this year, first quarter, we've received $474,000 and a few IOUs. And last year we had received $607,600 in the first quarter. So we're already seeing hotel revenues starting to taper off, even though that first quarter does not necessarily represent when COVID hit. It was about a week into the COVID crisis when that quarter ended for them. So I believe it's going to get significantly worse. And just judging from some of the vendors that we interface with quite frequently and some of the larger ones, it's going to fall off a cliff. So we've been in touch, and we're both on the same page and aware kind of what's going to happen with hotel tax, unfortunately. On April 1st, we successfully held a bond sale we sold a $26,480,000 public improvement serial bonds with a 13-year maturity. We attracted 7 bidders, which was quite amazing considering Sullivan County tried to sell a bond the week before, and they tried to sell a TAN and they tried to sell a bond, and they were not as successful nearly as we were, although they're in a different credit profile. So we were very fortunate with the results. The award was made to UBS Financial Services. Total interest cost was 2.37%. The next highest bid was basically 2.378. So it was a very competitive sale, and we did very well. We also received a premium that was $2.67 million. And to sum up, we've basically I personally have been spending a lot more time than usual collaborating with my peers from other counties and NISAC and NACO, and even the Office of the State Comptroller. And I appreciate that, because in these times with quickly changing regulations and deadlines, those resources are invaluable. So I would just like to end on the fact that our annual investment and debt policies are coming up for review. So we will likely try to bring that to the committee next month. That's
Okay.
it.
Thank you very much. And also thank you for accepting my calls anytime I do call with looking for updates of information for our legislative leader calls. Thank you very much.
Anytime.
Questions from committee members? Other legislators listening? Hearing none, thank you very much. Very comprehensive, Karen.
Jim Kulisek with a question.
Thanks, Karen.
Yeah, go ahead, Jimmy.
For Karen.
Sure.
Bond rating. Any word on our next interview with Moody or anybody?
Yeah, so we did meet with Moody's way back, it seems like years ago now, but it was just around February 21st. And that was definitely timed well, because our bond rating was held stable at a AA2 with a stable outlook. And that's the rating we used to sell that bond. That being said, we have been in touch with Moody's. We will not be obviously not necessarily seeking out a rating for at least a year until we go back to market. However, given what's going on, the major rating agencies are looking at sectors, and fortunately, Moody's is taking a more, calculated look, and they're looking at individual issuers as opposed to doing any kind of a full sector downgrade. I believe S&P and Fitch are looking at doing full sector downgrades, and one of them, I don't remember which one, but one of them has already done that. So right now, I think we just got rated probably, 3 weeks before all this came down. So we're good to go right now. And obviously you look at our financials right now, you wouldn't know that the world we're living in is what it is. Everything right now still looks good on paper, but it's just that the lag and timing of everything where it will, the shoe will drop. But probably in probably early June, like I said, you'll see everything kind of fall off a cliff. But Deb has done a great job, and Harry have done a great job of trying to stay ahead of it. So I think we're in good hands.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, we were fortunate, Karen, right, that it was published, actually.
Absolutely.
Any other questions?
I have one other. I have the funding summary in my hand. Is borrowing everything here is borrowing for 2.4 some million. I'm sure we're holding off on some of that through the county executive's office. I would hope some of these capital projects that are listed here. Maybe Lee or somebody could speak on that.
I don't know what you're referring to. I could not print some of the background material for Ways and Means Committee meeting today. But I do, like I said, I do know that Mr. Poor is reviewing absolutely everything from mowers to who knows what.
Can I just make a comment on that? That Harry and I do go over all of the requests and requisitions for capital projects and operational expenses. And we have put some on hold. Nothing's canceled. We're just at this point, it's a pause.
Oh, okay, but things like the back 9 cart path, if there's some bad sections in a cart path, rather than spend $125, just repair the bad section for now type things, $2.4 million. Some of them do have to be done. There's no doubt about it. Do we need to do 20 miles of strength paving on the highways this year or things like that? If the road, we know it'll hold up for another year, hold off and save a couple $1 million here and there,
Yeah, no. We're definitely looking at all of those things.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, everything is being reviewed, and also we have to obviously be getting ready for the 2020 capital budget for 2021 budget, as well as I did speak to Mr. Poor about having capital plan meetings regarding just this projects for 2020 and their review.
Okay, thank you. No more questions for me.
Thanks, Jimmy. Any other questions from any other legislator? Hearing none. Thank you, Karen. Thank you for everything. Next up is General Services. Alicia.
Yes. Good afternoon,
Welcome.
everybody. How are you?
Very good.
Okay, let me take you through. I'll give you a little bit of an update, and then you can ask me any questions you have. Procurement and IT, we've been full steam ahead, as many of the departments have been since day one. It's given us a great opportunity to work with IT and with procurement and IT working together in order for us to be able to do our share to keep the county running during this crisis. One of the things I definitely want to point out is that Commissioner Burpo, who wasn't able to make it this afternoon, he's been through a couple of the other government crises, as some of the legislators on this call have been in as well. So his experience really helped us here in order to navigate that we needed to get ahead of this. He knew early on that we were going to be procuring against the global economy, not just another county, not just another state, and we needed to get a little bit aggressive in our purchasing in the beginning to be able to take care of the county as we move forward. So there was a lot, just to give you an idea, the purchasing agents that we have on our staff, the DGS staff for procurement, really excellent. Bar none, working with EOC, negotiating with the brokers and the vendors. We collaborated with other counties in order to do an increase in volume and cost savings. We used local vendors. We've probably gone through about 50 to 60 brand new vendors, and also doing a new way of procuring with that as well, because a lot of them were third party. So we really had to stress a lot of how we did our due diligence and outreach and working with these vendors going forward. Anybody who gave us a reference, every single person that gave us a reference for a vendor was contacted and, vetted. We worked with municipalities, we worked with the local school districts, and we're still working with them. We're still getting phone calls as we go, because this is much longer than anybody anticipated. Nobody knew what we would be experiencing with this. One of the roles, I think, also, I just want to make it very clear, is that procurement, we procured the goods, and then we were directed that anything that we procured would go to the emergency command center, and they take care of the distribution. So when it comes out to following up, Jim had the foresight also to say we need to get a burn rate on this so that we know how people are going through this, and then we can procure properly, because we understand it had to be very delicate, and we have to be very careful with how we were procuring and also spending, very cognizant of the numbers that we had in place as well. And when we started this, we put into place a tracking and a cataloging of all the emergency related expenses, which Deb is speaking to and Karen's speaking to, that the whole entire county works with. And all the purchases and all the purchases that we have are reviewed and they're approved daily by the budgeting director and the deputy county executive since March 31st. So there's nothing that goes through without everybody weighing in. Also our deliveries, there's reports that are given every single day. Where are we at? We have people calling. Are these shipments coming in? Are they not coming in? Where are they at? How much is expected? When they come in, they're inspected. So just to give you a quick idea of what we've procured with PPE, and that's the protective personal equipment. N95 masks, we have about 231,000 that we procured. Surgical masks, the 3-ply, they're about 271,000 that we've procured. We have cloth masks, which we're starting now, 4,500. Face shields, approximately 7,000. Goggles, 1,700. Surgical gowns, just under 40,000. Gloves, 150,000. And then there's some other things with the hand sanitizers, the alcohol wipes, and some other items that we would put under COVID expenses as well. So that's specific to the PPE and the EOC, but I also want to mention that the staff, that we're still doing our contract coordinating. We're still doing our record center as there are requests that may come in. The mail courier is on a reduced schedule and we work on a case by case, but Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays are the pickups and the deliveries. It's being assessed on a daily basis. We're still doing RFPs and RFBs, again, as long as they're essential and emergency for the department. That's how they're being assessed as we go through. So that's just a quick high-level overview, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions before I turn it over to my colleague to review the IT.
Okay, questions for Alicia? Committee members? Other legislators listening? All right, thanks, Alicia. I really want to commend your department as well for just stepping up to the plate with, and especially with Jim. Tell him we're going to have to start sending some of those I've been Burpo t-shirts around the world, I think.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, next up, I believe, is Rich.
Yes, Chairman.
Welcome.
Alicia,
Hey, before you get started, I do want to thank you for helping Mr. Hines and Mr. Vero.
Anytime. They were easy to help. Don't worry. As Alicia indicated, we had some conversations with our commissioner early on. He had the foresight of knowing that we were going to have to work remotely. Now, one of the things we did right away was to review our continuity of operations plan, determine how we can do this. We sent out emails to each of the departments asking them to identify their mission essential function employees. We currently are tracking approximately 534 mission essential function employees. Now, what we did was we went out and procured systems to be able to allow those people to work from home. We've currently distributed approximately 235 systems out to those mission essential function employees. We've also distributed 12 wireless printers to various departments who need to print critical information at home, such as HR and finance. We've also, as you know, for the legislature, distributed 8 new iPads so that you guys can work and conduct these types of meetings. One of the things that our department also had to do was to develop the instructions on how people could work from home using technology. There were a lot of people that we originally distributed technology out to who had never worked remotely, never used a laptop. Okay, we had to explain to them how to use a laptop. Every one of those systems that we distributed had to have network communications software installed on it. So my team worked 6 days a week to get those systems ready for distribution. And when the time came to exit out of the different buildings to work from home, we were able to get those out to people, give them the instructions with the software loaded, and they were able to work from home. As part of this, you have to look at the back end. That's the front end. The back end, looking at the network, the server, and the storage capabilities. Initially, there was concern that we would not have enough bandwidth. So what we did was we increased the bandwidth, our network capacity bandwidth, to allow all these employees to now access systems from home. We went from 200 megabits to 500 megabytes of capacity at the emergency service center. Okay, we also determined that we only had one Pulse Secure 5000 device over the Webster Data Center, and that's how a lot of people were going to be coming in. So what we did, we procured another device. So now we have redundancy. We also have the ability to do balancing between the two systems. So we had exceeded the capacity on the Webster, Cisco allowed us to exceed it for a certain period of time. So now with the second one, we're dropping below, and there's a lot less worry on my part that we've got a single point of failure.
Rich, it's
yes.
Alicia. Before you go in, I just want to, I do want to reiterate, if I may, we didn't have a remote workforce prior to this happening. And within 3 days, IT had everybody set up, ready to roll. And within 3 weeks, we had a full operation going. And so purchasing the laptops, getting all the things in place and having them ready to go created a workforce that we didn't miss a beat in Orange County. We actually had other counties and municipalities calling us for laptops because they didn't have any and weren't prepared to go remote. And I just wanted to add that in.
That's a very good point, Alicia. In fact, today I was on the call with my peers from the counties around Orange County, and they were also describing how they had to deal with the fact of a distributed workforce when they'd never had one. They had a lot more problems than we did. We were able to basically have all of our people work from home in a very short period of time without missing a beat. And a lot of the other counties didn't have that luxury. As Alicia stated, a lot of them were calling up and looking for systems and also looking for how we were doing it. The call today, they were all asking, how did you do this without any problems? And it was really a testament to the fact of IT working with procurement and general services to make this happen. So really, it's a shared thank you to everybody. A couple of other things that we've done, as you know, we're all today working on Microsoft Teams. That was something that we really had a very limited amount of people utilizing. Now we're up on Teams. Again, my conversation with my peers today, a number of them are going to Teams. I just received today yet another bulletin on Zoom and some of the some of the security considerations that people should be aware of with Zoom. So I think that we're in a very good position now that we've gone to Teams. Also, we have pretty much everybody, as of this weekend, all employees are now in Office 365, in Microsoft Cloud. So a lot of our employees are actually coming in through Microsoft's cloud and accessing their email. Those employees who have to come in and actually get to certain systems, those are the ones coming in through the systems we've distributed. Also, we've distributed at this point 69 cell phones to people who required cell phones. In addition, my team has also taken advantage of some of our Cisco technology and implemented what's called Expressway, which now, and we're in the process of testing, you will have the ability to make phone calls and receive phone calls from your desk phone actually on your laptop. So you can transfer your desk phone to your laptop, and it'll be as though your laptop is your desk phone at work. So that's a new function that we're about to roll out as well, because we think that this might go longer, and therefore we wanted to give you that ability. Some additional office capabilities. We were asked to stand up new help desks and new call centers for the health department. We actually stood up an entire new phone bank over at the government center within 24 hours. So people could be able to handle calls coming in and going out. Some of the cybersecurity stuff, as you're aware, right now the bad actors out there, the hackers, are very, very active. We have been able to safeguard Orange County systems and data, as well as enhancing some of the cybersecurity technology that we have out there to basically keep a handle on what's going on. I will tell you, my peers are also struggling with the same thing. They're seeing a significant uptick, and as you can see, we're able to handle that right now. While this is all going on and getting everybody to work from home, we were able to also continue to develop the applications that everyone has been requesting. As you know, we've been starting to roll out iCompass. We've also been working with the legislature on their Facebook and Instagram capabilities that they're looking to come out with. Website support continues. We've been providing website support to both the county executive office as well as others who are asking for some additional information. And we are moving forward with implementing a new budgeting system with Hyperion, and as well as enhancing some of our capabilities with Kronos. So just to finish up, we've been conducting quite a bit of training for people who have been looking for information about how to work remotely, how to use Office 365, and how to use Microsoft Teams. So I think overall the team has been very busy, but I think we've been handling it. And by the way, we are continuing, even to this day, we have one person at the government center handling people coming in with problems. Right now, the rest of the team has been distributed and are continuing to operate and work from home.
Great.
I'll take any questions.
Thank you for your report. And again, in my daily update that was distributed. I wanted to thank the team for their patience, especially with me. Mary took probably 15 or 20 minutes to get me up and operational with the team. So I'm one of those problems that was solved. Thank you
I
very much,
second that,
Rich. We can
as far
tell
as
that the department is in good hands with you. Questions from committee members? Is there a question? 475-4480? I guess not. Hearing not.
There was
Other-
a question, Lee. There was
Jimmy?
a question earlier about the laptops going from. I think Barry brought it up about the laptops going from Valley View to back to general services or IT. And Barry, you out there, Barry?
I think the question basically was when people are not having to work from home as much or at all, the laptops that were distributed, are they going to be brought back to IT or general services or held?
One of the things that we did when we purchased the laptops, we also purchased docking stations, so that when these mission essential function employees do come back, these laptops will become their primary workstation. Okay, and the reason why it's going to be very helpful is, as you know, we are migrating from Windows 7 to Windows 10. And some of the Windows 7 machines that we have out there are not capable of running Windows 10. So therefore, we will take these, the systems that these mission essential function employees have that are maybe sitting on their desktop, and if they're capable of being able to run Windows 10, those are the ones we will redistribute. The other nice thing about this is we will never be in this position again, because all these mission essential function employees will have the ability to quickly work from home, and we won't be scrambling like we were this time.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions from committee members? Other legislators? Again, hearing none. Thank you, Rich. Again, like I said, I think we know for sure now that the IT is in good hands with you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Okay. Last up for today is Dan Castricone, Risk Management.
Hello, everyone. I just tried to unmute my computer. Did it work?
Yes.
All right. One thing I wanted to follow up on with what Rich and Alicia just said, my entire department now is working from home pretty much seamlessly. We've got someone in the office every day to answer phone calls, especially for benefits or for contracts that have to be signed. I make sure that I get in there a lot, but we are working seamlessly from home based on the work that IT and general services has done. So it's really hats off to them for that. I sent everybody out a little description of the things that risk management has been doing, since the COVID crisis started. I'm not sure if you'll all be able to, if everyone received that, but the benefits, you all got it. Great. The benefits unit that we're we take care of all the benefits for county employees and retirees. Like I said, we've got someone in the office every day that's answering questions. Any message that's left with our department is getting, those calls returned the same day. When it comes to the new hires, ordinarily we'd have the new hires come in, or retirees come in, and we go through all the paperwork with them line by line and make sure that they get everything done right. You wouldn't think there were a lot of new employees, but over the last month or two, there's been about 25 different new employees that have gone through. So we got to make sure that we get that signed correctly. We will have some staffing challenges coming up when we make our Medicaid reimbursement checks out for those retirees, but we'll handle that as it comes along. We've been doing a lot of in the county safety and loss control program. One of the things that we've done is we've changed all of our courses to online courses. So Michael and Rick have been able to give the classes online. One thing that we saw coming, early with Eric Benegda over in Highway is the need to have replacement staff ready to man the sewers. The EF&S. So we've got people from the highway department trained to serve as backups over at the sewer plant. That took a little bit of doing, but that was conducted successfully. Had mostly online stuff, but we did have to do some, mask fit testing to get people ready for the proper equipment, and we were able to do that in a safe way. The training programs we continue to conduct, as I said, mostly online where we can. In terms of the insurance for the county, we've got a lot of stuff that's coming up in July. We did see a big hit in our professional liability coverage for Valley View and the health department. We saw an increase of about $180,000 in those premiums from last year. We were able to make a lot of that up on workers' comp, though, for our renewal on the excess policy. We're able to trim about $100,000 out of that policy. And we were also able to add, in February, when we first got a whiff of this, we put on coverage for contagious diseases into our workers' comp excess policy. That wasn't there. When I came in, I didn't notice that wasn't there until now. So we were able to add that. I don't know that we're going to need it. We, as of yet, have, no workers' comp illness claims. We have some workers' comp stress claims from people dealing with the COVID situation. But as of now, no actual sickness claims from the workers' comp. Most employees are going to be better off taking their non-accrued sick benefit if they get sick at work, rather than trying to go through the workers' comp. But with those claims come, we'll be ready. In terms of the financials, we have a very small budget outside of, our actual payroll. It's only around $30,000 for contractual stuff. So we were able to cut that down pretty well. The only increase we've seen since we've started the COVID is in some of our claim processing for federal disaster relief. We had some, a consultant that was helping us with the Lee and Sandy claims, if you can believe that's still going on. And we were able to extend those, folks to help us with the COVID-19 claims. I mean, overall, we keep on keeping on, and the department is running well. Nothing is falling through the cracks. And, I'm here to answer any questions that anybody might have.
Okay, thank you, Dan. Very, very nice to add that infectious disease coverage. That was timely. Questions from committee members? Question? Oh, the lights went out on me. Sorry, that wasn't me. I must have to go open the door.
Just wave your hand around, Lee.
Oh, okay. Can I do a jumping jack? I don't know.
Go for it.
There we go.
There you go.
That's it.
Thank you, Carrie Ann. I never had that happen before.
You're welcome.
Any questions from other legislators listening? Hearing none. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, guys. Stay safe, you.
Okay, is there anything else to be brought before the committee? If not, a motion and second for adjournment is in order.
So moved.
Second?
Janet.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you very much, everyone.
Great job.
Thank you. Good job, Mr.
Very
Chair.
informative, I think, today. Very informative.
Yeah,
Thank you, everyone.
Good job.
Yeah, thank you.
Very good job.
Over and out.